No, we better not be recording.
We are. We are recording. We even got Kurt's bulge in earlier.
Wait, no, no,
I get
no,
everything
no,
you
you're
mean.
joking. You're joking.
Look, I get
No,
everything.
no, that's why I told
You
you.
cut all that out. Cut all of that out,
No,
man.
no, no, we're zooming in. You know, with the iPhone, you whoop.
Right.
All right. Well, I want to open it up with something that's very important to me, guys. This is something that's been kind of rumbling in the Ethernet. It's gotten a little bit of traction. It is the
God.
Thnickel.
Oh my God,
What?
I've seen
What
this.
is this?
This is the Thnickel. Kurt, are you familiar with the Thnickel?
Yeah, unfortunately, the Thnickels, it was used. It's a home defense tool,
Yeah.
and it's a real thing. I mean, everyone's heard of the sock full of nickels, right? But this is a consolidated version of that. Unfortunately, when I checked their website, they were sold out. But is there a second batch? Can we
There
order
is a
some?
second batch and new development. They are currently working on silver Thnickels and are in the process of developing a golden Thnickel, which is 3
Wow.
ounces of gold.
I have a real
What is
question
this?
for you, Kurt. Do you think that having a sock full of nickels versus having a sock full of nickels makes a difference in impact of said sock hitting object?
Depends on the sock material length and status of wear. I would be worried.
Same
Uh,
sock, same sock, same sock, different nickel.
sock for
Nickel
sock,
versus
sock for
nickel, same
sock,
sock.
market to market matchup. I'm taking the Thnickel. You know, in a life or death situation, I'm not messing around. I need a cool, consolidated blow against my enemy. So for that, I'm going with the Thnickel. And you, Jeff,
Okay.
how would you respond?
I mean, honestly, I don't know if they make a difference, but I'm scared that my sock might break. So I'd rather throw a thickle at you than a bunch of nickels. So
Right,
I
right.
second the thickle. Just in case of sock rippage and I could have to throw a projectile at you, I feel like a thickle would hurt a lot more than a handful of nickels.
I would do like a shot put, like a track and field sort of back and forward motion, and I feel like
Huge.
that would
Yeah.
do the trick. Aim for center mass.
All
Probably.
right.
Charles, what are you thinking? It's the size of 7 nickels.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm not familiar with that.
So for a little bit of background, I'll sort of explain what the Thnickel is. The Thnickel, the story goes that this guy Theodore Nichols was in his home. Some robbers broke into his home, and he had a bag of nickels, 10 cents of nickels, and it just wasn't enough to defend himself against these thugs. So he figured, if I've only got 2 nickels, I'd rather have 2 thicker nickels to help me,
Right.
defend myself more. So he developed a thick nickel with his own design, and yeah, it's pretty much just.
Where did you find this guy?
Oh, this has been popping up all over the place.
It
This has
went
got a couple
viral on
million views.
the internet.
Yeah, a couple
Yeah.
viral videos.
Yeah,
And
who was the Instagram give them a shout out? Didn't they get like 10 million views or something posting this or something?
it
They did like a little
wasn't 10 million, but it was like 1 to 3 million views on it. It was Stevie Sells or something. I think it's Stevie.
Wow.
Yeah. There's been a handful of videos about it. I'm actually in contact with the guy who's developing them, and I do have a couple Thnickels on the way. We're
Does,
gonna try
Are you
to
does
get
he
them.
have any
serious?
PTSD?
Yeah.
Does he have any PTSD from the robbery?
You know what? I'll have to ask. I'm not. We didn't really cover the robbery per se. It was more on a nickel based.
Isaac, I'm gonna
conversation.
need one of those nickels.
Look, man, they are for sale. We'll talk at the ANA. That's
Yeah,
where
yeah, we'll talk business.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
try to convince NGC to slab one.
So as far as I'm concerned, with some of these private mints, you're gonna have to have like a reference guide, give it a catalog number, just so it gets through spec. But there is a non-zero possibility that they would slap that in an oversized holder
They've turned it down a couple times.
because there's no
from what it
catalog
says.
reference number for it yet. But if it makes its way into a catalog,
Yeah.
if it has a reference number, we could be
What
talking.
do you think? What do you
oversized
think,
holder.
Charles?
I don't know. What are you gonna grab? I mean, that's like, a token of some kind.
Yeah,
It's like a
it's a metal.
specialty. So I mean,
It's a metal.
technically you could grade it, but I don't think it's. I don't know. It, it's to be determined, right?
Charles thinks we're crazy, and he's probably right.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
agree with
I don't know.
Charles.
I think any
Yeah, I don't know
numismatist over
about
the
that.
age of 25 probably thinks we're insane with this one, but they make a
You
silver
know,
one
who
that's like
knows?
a
Give it 100 years. You know, in San Francisco, Emperor Norton made his own money, so
That's a very
now
good
it's highly
comparison.
collectible.
Exact like for like comparison.
I mean, honestly, if I had to put anything into this, even though I hate the entire thing of it, you have to look at the hobo nickels. I mean, people made hobo nickels, and those are very collectible and bring some value. So even though I
Yeah,
don't like those either, I mean, everyone has a thing. Things go viral and trendy.
Jeff,
So
do you know who Emperor Norton was?
no, no clue.
A prominent guy in San Francisco in like the 19th century, and he made his own money. And it became kind of famous over the years. People started collecting it. And now they have his notes and everything like that. I mean, it's gone crazy, but it took about 100 years.
No, some of his notes today sell for thousands and thousands of dollars. It's really serious. Yeah.
Yes, they do. Yes, yeah. But definitely a famous guy. I don't know, but I think he was more prominent than this guy randomly. But then again, who knows? Now he's if someone's going viral and that kind of thing, I guess it's I guess it's famous now. This Thickel, it's called.
the
Nickel.
Thnickel.
Nickel.
Thnickel. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
to be
I see
determined. To be
I see
determined.
potential for a thick penny, a thick quarter, a thick $20
Yeah,
gold piece.
Options are
I see
endless
right,
here.
potential for a lot of stuff.
right.
I just wanted to bring it up just so it's out there in the zeitgeist, just because I think it's fun. We
What
got a
about
lot
a
of stuff.
Thinkle?
A Thinkle? What?
Thin nickel.
If they're silver and gold, people might buy them though, like bullion,
They're working on silver
collectible
ones right
bullion.
now.
Yeah, yeah. They'll like the stacker guys will probably like stuff like that.
Welcome to the Premier Coin Report, your weekly numismatic update. We got a whole bunch of stuff to cover. We have a very large gold bar collection that came into our shop. We got some new releases from the U.S. Mint. We've got a PCGS introducing ancient coin grading, and some more information on the World Fair of Money. Where do we guys? Where do we want to start today?
I think it's ancient coins as far as Chinese coins are concerned, right? Is that
Right. That's
correct?
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Or
huge
yeah.
headline there. I got
yeah,
really excited.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not exactly entirely sure, but from what I can remember, there was a hard limit at coins. They needed to be minted in the year 1000 or after to be graded. Now I could be wrong, but I believe that's what the policy was when I was there. Obviously, there's been demand for cash coins in the Chinese and Asian markets. They've been steadily increasing in value. Different records are being set every auction for cash coins from different dynasties. I don't even know the different dynasties of China, but cash coins are creeping up in value. So PCGS is
Yes.
stepping up to bat to meet that demand, and I applaud them for it. Although I did read that it's going to be on a 10-point scale. What do you guys think of that? I'm curious.
Yeah. I got rumblings of that. I heard a little bit from secret sources about the different grading scale, and I'm hoping that the ancient coins are in the works for them because I would like to see someone come out and have another option other than NGC for ancients.
Right, and you're referring to ancient coins as, we would popularly describe them, like ancient Roman, Greek, Bactrian, that kind of stuff. Western ancient coins as opposed to just the Chinese cash coins. This is a great first step. I
Right.
cannot wait to see how the 10-point scale translates to the market. Now, I remember NGCX caught a lot of flack a few years back when they introduced the whole Vault Box 10-point scale, which to me, I don't know how you guys feel about that 10-point scale, not to take it off topic. I didn't hate it. I in fact quite liked it. So this is promising. I
I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't just do, with get rid of the numbers and then just do like VF, choice VF. I like you would like NGC basically grades ancients. I don't know.
right.
It can be confusing now with the 10-point scale for traditional collectors, I think, because
Well, I
everyone's
mean,
so
not only
used
that though, but
to.
the 10-point scale brings it to 100 points instead of 70. So you kind of add an extra 30 points of specification on there, what kind of rumbles up the whole VF, fine, AU almost uncirculated, because even in the red book and the guidebook of coins, what everyone knows, the scale that we all use and recognize today is 1 to 70. So, to throw in a 1 to 100 now and to not give proper definitions, proper specs, a matchup of what would equate, like, is it now 85 to 100 is now an unk? Like, what does that mean and transcribes to? So, I love innovation. I love new ideas, but I feel like I missed the boat on this one. I wasn't able to identify how, a 9.9, where does that match up on the Sheldon scale? How do I price those coins out based on NGC and PCGS price guides? How does someone that's collecting these coins do these things? If I'm a dealer and I don't even know where to search for that information, I can only imagine how confusing it was for regular collectors and the regular population to get these new grades and go, what in the world am I looking at? I understand ancients and stuff, because they can't really grade ancients. I mean, if you look, and correct me if I'm wrong, but on the back of every certified ancient, it's like not authentically certifiable. So like, even though they give it a surface and a strike, they're grading what the coin looks like as it was struck and what does it look like as the coin lived. But they're not actually authenticating the coin as real, and they can't. So yeah, so they can't give it an actual like unk or whatever, because they can't actually authentify the coin as being authentic. So the only thing they can do, because everyone was complaining, we got to have some level of certifying these versus none. That's why they came up with a not authentifiable, but then gave it like a, hey, the surface is and the strike is, to add some differentiate, in price. But I mean, me personally, I find it hard to buy a coin that I can't get authentified as real and authentic by the people that authenticate coins as real and authentic. So, I mean, I understand the scale over there, right? But I don't know. Maybe I just don't understand it properly. That's my opinion on the X grading system. So
Yeah, I kind of see it as like a little bit of an attempt at an answer to like other collectible niches like Wada and Beckett. Everything they grade is on a 10-point scale. And if you're trying to pull people over from a different niche, that might be an easier transition, especially for like I can see ancient coins being sort of an easier way to get into it because a lot of people like know about
yeah,
Greece and
I
they
just
like the
don't
Roman Empire, but
I don't
totally
understand how
understand your
whoever
point there
came up
too,
with
Tim.
this never put a page in the red book, never, published, like I should have a scale everywhere where it says, okay, 85 to 100 is an unk coin. Like now we're like, what does that mean? Like every like 1.25 points it grades into a 70 scale. Like what is 100 divided by 70 or whatever the math goes. So, you know, uh, at the end of the day, like I understand it. I mean, me personally, I like the fact of I don't like the fact that you can only get an AU 50, AU 55. There's no micro grades in between. It's very subjective. There's no defined basis of where that should be. So I mean, realistically, in an AU, you only got like what, like 3 grades, 2 grades in an AU. You don't really have 50 to 59. There's no real breakdown and specifications for in between those. So I mean, I'm sure there's a way to lay it over. I honestly, if you're talking about trying to, you know, break the barrier between card collectors and Pokemon collectors and coins, I think it's a brilliant idea. I just think that like there was zero education. There was, it's not even recognized in the red book. Like how is that? Like you want to grade something, you want to grade a coin, right? But you don't want to add the instructions anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't I don't think it's a good thing, to be honest with you. It just confuses. The market's already started one way with the grading from the standard of which NGC started. So a lot of the prominent collectors know that and have bought into that already. So if you're gonna go up against that, I mean a lot of time and investment has already been made.
Guys, I think we're missing a key part of the conversation here, and I don't know if this makes it easier for anyone, but it does definitely translated well. I had some of the same apprehension as you guys brought up, and they're very good points. But educating the buyer and the consumer is always very important. An educated consumer is a confident consumer, right? But
Right.
the 10-point scale that NGCX released, to my knowledge, had a direct translation to the 70-point Sheldon scale. There are exactly the same amount of grades on the 10-point scale at NGCX as there are on the Sheldon scale. So, for example, a 10 obviously would be a 70, but a 9.9 would translate to MS69 or Proof 69, what have you. Going down the 9 O's, you have a single grade, but then you have 8.8 for 58, 8.5 for 55, and so on. So even though the numbers are different, they have Sheldon correspondence. So it's not changing the scale, rather it's changing the labels to make it easily digestible for a consumer of, say, a Wada product or a Beckett
Correct,
product to
correct,
understand the
Kurt. But
scale.
let me ask you this. Is the Sheldon scale itself a good grading scale for ancients?
No, it's not. The Sheldon scale was designed in the 40s
Thank you.
by Dr. William
Yeah.
Sheldon to grade 1794 large cents, which at the time were the single
Right.
most collectible coin in America at the time, because you had a lot of
Yeah.
people interested in the early history of our founding. 1793s, there were way too many different varieties. They were very expensive, and their planchet quality was extremely poor, as well as their production quality. They were just getting the Philadelphia Mint running at the time, the old mint in Philadelphia. 1794, you see a lot better quality planchets, better machining, more standardization, and just an overall higher production quality. Plus, enough varieties to keep people interested, new cones and things like that. So, Dr. William Sheldon based the 70-point scale off of market prices. Hypothetically, a perfect 1794 large cent would fetch the price of $70. And a poor one, the lowest, only identifiable characteristic is the date, right? That would fetch the price of $1. So that was the first sort of scale. Now, the reason I say it wouldn't work for ancient coins is because you have many different variables when it comes to ancient coins. You have not only planchet quality, but also strike, whether coin is fine style or not. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I was
Right.
told when I was a very young dealer starting out that fine style is if the portrait is looking up to the heavens. I don't know, but there's a lot of different characteristics that make an ancient coin unique in its own right. It's more similar to valuing art than it is valuing a machined coin. All of these are
Correct. Yeah.
essentially
Well, it does.
Yeah.
It has exactly to do with the portrait. Yeah, for sure. But like the Sheldon scale works well for U.S. coins, but I just don't see it a viable option for ancients. I mean, it's more about the style and having a spectrum of what the strike would be, and then the NGC did a really good job with putting the surfaces and
right.
a separate surface designation
Right, I
and
completely agree.
strike designation. And you could call something, okay, this is XF or choice XF, and then have the strike and surfaces there. I mean, that works really well for ancient. So I don't know why to change something like that to try and maybe get in card collectors into buying ancient coins. I mean, if anything, I could see more of a card collector buying into US and then
If we're moving on to another subject, I actually wanted to bring something up here since the ANA show is in 2 weeks. I don't know if you guys actually heard about this, but a little bit of news actually broke not too long ago that back in 2022, at Dealer Setup Day in Chicago at the ANA, there was almost $1 million worth of coins stolen right during dealer setup. Guys came in with no badges, no nothing, walked in, grabbed a couple like cases full of coins, put
Yep.
them on one of the young numismatists' little dollies, and walked literally right out.
Yep.
I guess it was a gang of people that had targeted this ANA, and they robbed people's hotels. They literally walked right into the show. Obviously,
Yep.
now I'd like to say this isn't where it's open to the public, but it's insane to think for dealer setup, which I believe is like Tuesday. Um,
Mhm.
that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there was $1 million robbery. They just
Yep.
literally walked
Yeah,
in, took a
I
couple of
remember
things,
that.
and
Yeah.
I was there.
it was pretty crazy. Yeah, same. I wasn't there for dealer day, but like, it's just crazy to think about that. Like, I think that was one of the biggest robberies at a coin show / ANA in modern history too, which was
Definitely up
pretty
there.
crazy.
I'm just glad that they walked by my case. No, I'm just joking. I didn't have anything worth taking at the time, but I was set up at that show, and I remember that day. It was very chaotic, and I know that future shows that sprung up immediately after that ANA definitely put an emphasis on 24/7 security and more stringent
Yeah,
checks.
they really stepped it up. They really stepped it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
And not only
crazy.
that, but the North American Collectible Association literally put a $50,000 bounty on the people that got away. It got pretty crazy.
The last ANA that they did in Chicago had great security.
Yeah,
It's very good,
unbelievable.
top notch. Like that, the Donald Stevenson, that venue really stepped it up. They did an awesome job this last time we were there in the ANA. I wish we were going there again,
That
but
makes
we're going to
two
be
of
in
us.
Oklahoma City this year.
Yeah, I think that's the only show I've been like stopped at the door for like recording while walking in the door.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
that one show. Every other show they seemed totally fine with it. That one ANA was the last
Yeah.
ANA they went to.
ANA is a big show. It's an important show. A lot of bigger collectors come out for that show. I mean, there's a lot going on at the ANA.
What was it, in Rosemont last year or Pittsburgh?
It was in Rosemont last year.
Okay, and Pittsburgh the year before that. Okay, yeah, Rosemont,
Yeah,
Pittsburgh,
that's right.
Rosemont, Oklahoma City. Okay.
I thought we could take a look at the floor plan, which is now available on the ANA website, just to get a little rundown. Supposedly, there's over 1,200 dealers this time around. This is like the dealer setup side of it. So, like, if you were gonna go set up for a booth, this is sort of the map of everything that's available and not.
Where's the front door, Isaac?
It looks like this is the entrance to the convention center. You come through here, lots of doors, and then you've got your ultra premium section with like great collections here at the front. Heritage is right there, Stax is right there, Tangible Investment is right there.
Where's Rare Koa at?
Rare Koa. Stax has a massive booth. AppMex is there at the front. I don't see Rare Koa.
Oh no, we're right behind them, so I figured they'd be easier to find.
Maybe they're over here.
Oh,
Where are you at, Charles?
I saw us. 12. Go down. 12. Oh, let's see.
I forgot what booth number I am.
Oh, there we are. 1204.
1204. There it is. Hey, right at the front. Heck yeah.
Nice.
Do you remember what
Northeast.
booth we are?
Rare Koa, there you are.
There we are. Here we are, right here.
Boom.
So go straight down.
Hiding in the back.
Pretty much straight down from the front, which is pretty nice. Charles is gonna be over here. Kurt, you're just gonna be walking around. You don't have a booth, right?
Yeah, guys, I got to move into my new apartment later that week, so I won't be able to make it the whole show.
Kurt, well, why don't you just station up with us? I mean, we got plenty of room.
For those who are interested, the collector exhibits are going to be in the back right corner. The whole back is going to be loaded up. eBay is going to be there set up. I might have to go.
That'd be cool.
Get some content with eBay.
That's
They've got
good.
the Mint Promenade, which is, I guess, the different mints that set up here and showcase different new releases and stuff. Minted Assets is the people who make the ANA coins, which I did find that they are making a denominated coin for this event. That I think they're giving away.
And a little
free.
shout out to Minted Assets. That's our friend Cheng Bullock. He's been in the coin world for, I want to say, like 30 plus years. Was a good mentor of mine when I first got into the coin community. And he's worked his way through the coin world to now owning his own minted assets, where he's now gotten the contracts to help make the ANA metals. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time an ANA metal has actually been denominated. I bought them over the years. They're really cool to get. I mean, if you get to an ANA, you can buy an ANA metal. They're all numbered, so the first person to get there and buy one will probably get number 1 or number 2.
That's awesome.
You can get them graded as well. Yeah, so if you get the first couple ones, they usually do return some money as well. But yeah, Isaac, that's going to be like a miniature Berlin show. The Mint Promenade. Yeah, from what we've seen. So it'll be pretty cool.
That'll be great.
And then you got the U.S. Mint over on the left side, Northern Illinois Coin and Stamp. What is that? I don't think I've seen them before. What are they? Is that just like a collector group? Kurt's back. Charles, I don't see your camera. I mean, we could theoretically cut it here if we need to via due to technical difficulty. I don't know if Kurt is in a position to finish the episode.
Well, then we say he may or may not have been abducted by aliens. We'll find out next episode. And then we just go on without.
We just
I don't
continue.
know. I don't know. Fucking A, Kurt.
Can you guys?
Oh, there's audio coming
There you
through.
go.
Nope. I really like the bit about the Thnickels, and I'll tell you why. It's because my friends that don't
Oh,
care
we're not
about
going back to the fucking Thnickel.
my friends who don't care about coins, they were
God.
sending me that. So I mean, it gets it going and teaches people about the minting
That's
process.
kind of what I'm saying.
So
That's kind of all I'm saying. That's the only reason I really am interested in it. I think it's just like for someone who doesn't care at all about coins, this is a coin thing that is now out in the zeitgeist that is popular.
exactly,
which I think
zeitgeist
good
is the
for
word.
hobby.
So what else? What else is on the docket, guys?
So we could talk about our assay bars.
Yes,
it was
do.
very cool.
Yeah, now that the deal is done and over with, I think we can disclose a couple things. So, I mean, it is pretty crazy. I'd like to start off with how this even got started. We had our podcast with our four friends here, Kurt, Charles, Isaac. We're just laying low. I literally called Charles after the podcast and I was like, hey, man, give me some feedback. What'd you think? What's going on? And then we got into a conversation about what's new. And he literally was like, hey, actually, one of my collectors actually just texted me that they're willing to sell their entire collection that they've been putting together for 20, 30 years at an incredible price. I mean, keep in mind, 311 ounces. It's over $1 million just in gold. And I was like, hey, I might have a guy. And I sent the text message to one of my guys, and just like that, it was done. I mean, it was quicker to sell it than it was to deliver it. But to talk about the bars, I'll kind of leave you to Charles a little bit because, I mean, it's his forte. I just thought they were cool and forwarded the message. But $1.16 million later, tell us why these bars exist, how they come, like, what are they, Charles?
So they are assay ingots from the New York Assay Office, and quite a substantial collection of them, as Jeff mentioned. I mean, the collector who had them, I guess, was just buying them out of auction for a period of time, and then some private sale, and accumulated them, and decided to sell. I got reached out to through some mutual friends, and the deal kind of came together. I initially had it in mind for somebody else, and then me and Jeff were randomly talking, and I'm like, I believe he asked me, he's like, well, what do you got? Anything good? And I told him, I'm like, yeah, I got this collection of ingots right now. You go, I'm like, why? Would you have someone for this, right? He's like, I might. Let me get back to you. And then he called me back, and then boom, deal was done.
That's awesome. I love it when it's
So
right. It's right.
it all worked out. Yeah. Well, timing is everything as is with a lot of things.
And it's nuts because that was my first ever $1 million deal done in a text message while Charles is over completing, 2 or 3 of these a quarter.
Right.
So it's, it was just insane for me to even be able to my best months ever. We've done like $1 million in like a month. Like that's like the best months ever. And now all of a sudden it's like in a text message, like that whole, what do you got? Text message and then call you back. That all happened within like 20 minutes. It was just pretty crazy. It literally took longer for me to go to the bank and send a $1 million wire than it did to do a $1 million deal. I mean, it was pretty crazy. I didn't expect it to, but when you get a crazy opportunity, it's not my job to go, oh, my clients will like that or they won't. It's my job to present the crazy opportunity to my clients. And the guy that I sold it to was a famous world collector. I mean, I couldn't even get him to buy double eagles, let alone modern coins. So the fact that he even said yes on this like that was surprising to me. So that's why I always tell people, you're not an oracle. You're a coin dealer.
Wow, I
Find
like that.
cool stuff you like and present it in a likable way. It really taught me a lesson that after 10 years, my biggest sale came from me just, that's cool. Let me shoot it over to a couple other people and tell them it's cool. And it literally just worked. While I put an hour preparation into, find out $100 coin or $1,000 coin, this was the simplest deal I've ever done. And it was to someone I would have never expected to buy it.
A lot of dealers have similar stories. Lord knows I do. Maybe not as high as a seven-figure transaction, which I haven't had the honor of completing one yet. But I can testify that my biggest clients are the easiest to deal with, and they're easy to deal with. It's definitely a maybe causation or correlation. I'm not sure, but we've all seen the sort of joke in sales where the $5 sale is way more of a headache than the $50,000 one. A lot of these clients know what they want. They have the funds, and they're less work involved. They know what they're buying. They're an educated consumer. Now, we've talked about the bars as 300 ounces of gold, but Charles, I know you as sort of like, I have it in my head, I associate you closely with these assay pieces. Now, can you tell me a little bit more about them? Because I personally know that they're part of the supply chain of the United States Mint. Some of these were meant to be coined, others weren't. Can you tell me a little bit more about the assay bars and just
Correct.
their
Yeah.
history, just in case our
Well,
viewers don't
keep
know
in
much about
mind,
them?
Kurt, so
Well,
correct me if I'm wrong,
yeah.
Charles, but they were made by the U.S. government, not by the U.S. Mint.
Okay, I see. I didn't even know that.
So,
Please
it,
enlighten
Yeah.
me.
it,
So, well,
yeah,
so the New York Assay Office is part of the U.S. government, and basically what happened is prior to 1933, before they were called all the gold, they were sometimes often melted for coinage or other, also used for industrial purposes, but they were monetized because they had a dollar value. Post 1933, you really don't see that. You see, them used only strictly for industrial purposes, where you had to have a specific commercial license with the New York Assay Office to acquire these ingots. And then a lot of times it was most commonly used by dentists that would order these bars or jewelry makers. And, a lot of times they incurred damage and were melted down subsequently. So not a crazy amount of them survived. And now they have become collectible amongst people that collect assay ingots. So, and there's all different sorts of ways to collect them. Not only the dates, like anything earlier dates are more desirable, of course. Then the pre-33 stuff that's monetized is, more desirable too. So you start adding layers of value there
No,
to these
definitely.
bars, and that's kind of what makes them collectible now. Not to mention there's a huge growth in the marketplace. So I could tell you over the last 5 years, I've noticed the collector base more than double.
Wow. I believe it because more people are finding out that these things exist and they want to own a piece. I know that I'm in the market for one or two or
Right.
as many as I can get my hands on because they are tangible pieces of American history. Now, from what
Yeah,
what
they
the
are.
overview
Yeah.
you just gave me, would it be fair to say that most of these bars were made to, store the precious metals, to verify their contents, but also to be used in practical applications like the dentists and the jewelers? One could go on the limb to say that most of these were made
Correct.
to be destroyed and used in practical applications.
Yes. Yeah.
so one real crazy thing, Kurt, is actually in the 1930s during the FDR gold meltdown, most of the gold coins and jewelry were actually melted down into New York gold assay bars. So it
Oh,
is pretty safe to say that a lot of the assay bars that do exist during the 30s and after that time period were most likely melted down from the gold coins and jewelry that they collected from civilians. And then they were put into the casts that would make those bars, which then would eventually all be, hand struck with the hallmark U.S. Assay Office stamp. But
Mhm.
I mean, realistically, that's what makes these pretty crazy. And one thing Charles pointed out to us the other day is, if one major difference from these bars is if you look at the ones that are from the early 1930s, they're actually denominated by a dollar amount. Like one of our bars was like $510,
whoa.
because gold was $20 an ounce at that time.
Right. That's
Yeah,
25 ounces.
versus the bars after that, exactly, the bars after that don't have that. So a lot of people don't realize that like a lot of these bars were made because of the gold meltdown. And then the only way to get them after gold was confiscated and illegal to own by U.S. citizens was to be a jeweler or a dentist or someone that would need gold, and then would obviously have the tax ID or whatever that was needed at that time to place the order and then buy these. So, you know,
That's really cool. I just learned a bunch of new things. Another little
yeah.
tidbit that I find really interesting. I was just reading about the exemptions to this executive order, obviously signed by FDR in early 1933, as soon as he took office. Um, there were exemptions for those professionals that used gold in their everyday life, but there was also an exemption for collectors. And it's really a funny thing because coin collectors were allowed to keep their gold coins as long as they were all different dates, denominations, and of different mints. So if you had, say, a set of 20s, all different dates, you were allowed to keep that collection because you were exempt. It was only for hoarders and things like that, people that were storing gold as a resource and as an asset class that were ordered to melt their coins down. So it's very interesting. A lot of collectors ended up doing it anyway because there were mix-ups and miscommunications, but there were exemptions carved out especially for collectors even back in 1933. So to hear that those pre-33 gold coins were melted down in the assay bar hurts my heart a little bit, but at least they were turned into something really cool that we can own today. So that's a really great. I mean, what a $1 million deal! What a way to set that milestone. I'm really excited for the both of you. Congratulations.
And it's crazy because like owning one of these today is really like, holding a piece of, vanished U.S. infrastructure. I mean, it's really crazy
Yeah.
to see these bars exist. And, pretty much from 1933 all the way up until 1982, you couldn't buy these bars unless you were some type of, business or incorporated. If you were just a regular old human, it wasn't possible. But after 1982, when they kind of, loosened up a little bit and allowed it to go back into public hands, because keep in mind, they didn't even make silver and gold coins until 1986. So there was a small period of time where you were allowed to own and buy this stuff again, but you really couldn't buy it anywhere. I mean, that's why, in my opinion, the gold Cougaran is so widely recognized and important, because it was one of the first gold coins that circulated the world again and was available to buy gold for sale. That's why you see it in the John Wick movies and all the other stuff. I mean, they were the first people to allow people to buy and own gold again. So, when 1982 came around and you were able to buy gold again from the government, you were buying these bars that were kind of just left around. And I mean, they're all independently different and unique. They're all, from those that are actual bar collectors, and I know a little bit about this because, being in the Instagram world and in the stacking community, you have people like MK Bars and a lot of other really popular people that make artwork with their bars. The pouring of the bar and the outcome of like what I would call the fingerprint or waves is extremely important into having what we would call a grade, right? For how the bar was produced and curated. So I mean, there's so many specs that go into these, and because every one was hand struck, even the fact of like, do you have a high relief hallmark? Is it a weak hallmark? And correct me if I'm wrong, Charles, but does New York also have the circle and oval assay marks, or is that just San
Yeah.
Francisco?
No, no. So they have different logo types. New York Assay Office has several
Yeah.
different
So
logo types.
it,
So depending on the
and then
date.
you get into logo types too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been writing a book on this stuff for the last 2 years, and it will be out, I believe, in 2026 next year. So I'll be covering government assay ingots and then also 19th century assayer pieces.
That'll be really great. Let me know once it becomes available. Let me know where I can pre-order my copy because that sounds like a must-read for anyone looking to get into this
Right.
section and educate themselves. I'm certainly looking to.
No, absolutely.
I would like to pre-buy one, Charles. I'd like to get a first edition with your signature, por favor.
Plus
Ooh,
one.
yeah. Can we
That'd be
get
really.
three first
Of
edition
course.
But
signature editions?
for a quick little
So,
transition, Isaac,
well,
I'd like to
another
put you on the
before you
spot.
get into
Right?
that too, I
What?
I, I
What's up?
want to
Yeah,
note
yeah.
that on there, if anyone's into art bars, especially if they want a gateway or entry into collecting bars, art bars and that kind of thing is a huge thing. And not only that, for a broader, if you collect ingots on a broader market scale, there is a bar club called Isaac's, which is a very good resource to get into bars. And
And we
right
will
now
put
the
that at the
current,
bottom. I'm pretty sure our mutual
yeah,
friend runs that, Charles. What's
that's right.
you
Yeah,
want to
Steve
throw his name
Austin.
out
Yeah,
there?
yes,
There we go. Yes,
Steve Austin, Silver Steve Austin.
the Bar Father. He reminds me of Hulk Hogan. He's like 7 foot
Yeah,
tall and jacked.
Rest in
Yeah,
peace.
exactly,
yeah. Rest
exactly.
in peace, Hulk. But the Bar Father still exists and still walks around, and really awesome guy. You can look him up on Instagram, and I think he may have other socials, but I know he's on Instagram. Steve and his wife are very lovely people. They're very helpful. They make like a monthly guide, like you were saying, for the bar community. Of what's coming out, what's going on, and stuff like that. So definitely a good resource. But that transition I was talking about, to throw Isaac in the highlight a little bit, his most hated coin just got mailed into us from the U.S. Mint. So since he wanted to start with the Thnickel, I'm going to bring up his most infamous coin that now he has to say is special, and it is made out of gold. Can anyone make a guess on what coin this is? Kurt, Charles, do you know
Kurt's
what the most?
gone. Kurt,
Oh,
Kurt
Kurt's
dropped out
gone. Oh, long
again.
gone. Peace out,
His
Kurt.
most hated
Charles, can you
coin?
make a guess? The most hated coin that walks through the door, right? That everyone thinks is gold, and now is.
Oh, the Sacagawea dollar.
Yeah, yeah.
Ding ding.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
it. Sacked away $1. We got
yeah.
one. 24 karat
God,
gold, sacked away
God
$1.
damn it, U.S. Mint. First they had to put one in a Cheerio box.
This is going to make things so much worse. Because now every time someone Googles gold Sacagawea dollar, this thing's going to pop
There's a
up.
real
They're
one.
going to see it. They're not going to know the difference between a proof and a business strike. And they're going to go into coin shops and think they have
Yeah,
a half ounce of gold.
And if it's not 2025 and it's
it's
not
all
proof,
right.
you do not have a gold Sacagawea.
Yeah, it's not. This is the only gold. They may have done like a gold plated one back in the day when it first came out. Maybe if I'm remembering
This
correctly,
is
but
the majority of the bad reviews we get online is due to the fact that people think we deal in modern coins, and then they tend not to read the website or do any of the research, and they just contact us, and then they get upset when we tell them we don't buy these coins and that kind of thing. So
right.
I have all kinds of issues with modern in general, but I know you guys specialize that in that, and there's a whole niche market for modern that's like there's a whole crop of collectors, but it's it causes a lot of these issues because people think that they have gold coins when they're not gold coins. And then, for a period of time, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I don't know if he's still there or not, but there was a guy online on Etsy who was putting regular pennies up for tens of thousands of dollars. Like, now, mind you, a 1982 penny is worth 1 cent, but this guy would put them on there, marked up 1982 penny for $15,000, and people would see the prices because they would come up on Google and then
Yeah,
come in and say, "Hey, I have that 1982 penny." Well, guess what?
yeah,
It's not worth $15,000. And I actually reached out to some of these companies and tried to get those taken down, but they had told me that since he's not misrepresenting anything, that he's allowed to do it. So I don't
yeah.
know,
I will
but
say that's the number one problem we come across, is the fact that people always look up eBay and they're like, "Oh, I saw this listed online." And you know what? I will be the one to put it on the record now. Stop going on eBay and using what people list. Anyone can list anything for anything on the internet, right? If you're going to use eBay as a source, for the love of God, go to the filters, completed and sold listings. At least that way you can see if someone's actually buying it for that money. But I will put a little cliffhanger here. It's not difficult for someone to post something on eBay for $100,000, go to their best friend and go say, "Hey, this sold, go buy this for $100,000, market is paid," and then move on. Now, of course, you have eBay fees and other things, but there are scammers out there. So don't just think because you see it online that's worthless, right? At least go a step further, use a filter or two, and see if there are a completed sold listing. And if you want to go a step further than that, try to find 2 or 3 people that have sold the coin and see what prices they've sold out between them. But to even put another little cliff note on there, right? I know many people that are on eBay that have 3 or 4 different eBay accounts. So trust me when I say the world out there is full of scammers and people trying to scam you out of stuff. So to do your due diligence, add the filter for completed listed or sold listing. Try to go back a couple months to see, like, hey, this is, 10 of these coins that have sold to 10 different dealers that are in different parts of the country. And if that's the case, then there's probably a 99% probability that you have a coin that will sell for that kind of money. Now, the caveat to that is condition, right? Most of the times when you see a coin online for a bunch of money, it's certified and a high condition, while most of the coins that people bring into us are not in good condition. But more or less, if you just go on eBay, go to filter, put in completed listing and sold listing, that will clear out 99% of the problems you have, as well as give you a solid education or at least an idea on what your product's value is. If you do at least that step first before you come into a coin dealer or a place to sell your coin, I promise not only you probably make a lot more money, but it'll save you and the actual coin dealers a lot of time.
Yeah, and one little tidbit I learned recently, the good way to screen whether or not a listing is legit on eBay. What I just pulled up on screen is the eBay page for just Sacagawea. You'll see a lot of them listed at exactly $2,500, and there's a reason for this. The reason is that's the highest price you can put on a coin on eBay unless it's graded. So all of these raw coins that you see, they all think, oh, okay, it's raw, so I have to mark it as raw. They put it up for $2,400. The ones you see that are above that is because they're lying and they put in the listing that it's a graded coin so they can inflate the price.
And real quick, Isaac, do you have available how much the Sacagawea sold for from the U.S. Mint? I think it was like 2,500 bucks.
Which might suck and line up exactly with what people are listing them for on eBay. U.S. Mint.
Well, because the only reason why I bring this up, because if you do look at the Sacagawea, which we do talk about, modern coins and flipping.
Yeah, but
I mean, they're $3,200 a piece in a 70 grade right now.
those coins are not gold Sacagaweas, though.
No, they are now. That's what we're talking about. The 2025 Sacagaweas are gold that were minted from the U.S. Mint. And if you'd have bought one, a Proof 70 Deep Cameo 2025 gold Sacagawea now, they're selling online.
Yeah, but
as of yesterday for $3,100 to $3,200. So it's nuts to think.
so
That
but
you
let
could
me
have
get this
easily
clear
made,
though, because
$1,000.
let me get this clear though, because on the page you just showed, it looked like there was a bunch of Sacagawea dollars that from prior dates that aren't gold.
Yeah, what he was trying to show is
Is that
everyone how
right? Or
fake the online internet is and how eBay is. So Isaac was giving an example of
yeah,
showing everyone, if you just look up Sacagawea dollar, you see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fake, lying, scams, unethical stuff, etc. But if you type in completed
right.
listing, it'll help you filter out a lot of that fakey and scammy stuff. And if you really look up the
Yeah.
coins, and what I'm trying to bring up right now is just to show you where most people wouldn't have bought the Sacagawea coin. We did. You just saw our coin come in. Right now, that coin raw
Mhm.
online is $2,800. So people are making $600-$700 just flipping it in the original box already. If you get it certified in a 70, they're selling for upwards of $3,200 right now. So it's crazy to think that if you got it and you did get a 70, which respectfully graded coins, you're looking at 75 to 90% grade out from the U.S. Mint, because technology is good. We mint coins very well now. It's crazy to think that you can make a quick $1,000 for buying this coin. Because they are selling for right around $2,900 to $3,200 for a first strike coin. So that's not even a first day of issue or a better designation, and that's just selling. I don't even think these have sold out from the U.S. Mint yet. So it's turning out to be a pretty
No,
good coin for
absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely. But you got to get it from a reliable source. That's the thing.
Yeah, the U.S. Mint.
Yeah, this
Makes
this
sense.
is what scares me right here. The Proof Sacagaweas, because this looks pretty much exactly like the gold coin. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. It seems like Kurt's not going to be able to join back. I guess it's just going to be an internet issue. I did want to ask at the end, Jeff had a good idea to ask if there's any books or any resources that you're currently reading or that you would recommend for anybody to get into?
Well, yeah, actually, it's not a book in this example, but if you go to our website, vegascoindealer.com, there's a lot of great articles that are very informative about coins and collecting and, all sorts of things numismatic related. So I would definitely recommend that.
And obviously, keep an eye out for Charles's new book that should be published when, Charles?
2026, hopefully.
Beginning of the year, end of the year?
To be determined. I don't know yet. But as soon as, we do this weekly, so as soon as I get word, I'll let you guys know for sure.
Sweet.
Cool. Just for me personally, I've been digging into the Whitman Guide of Patterns. I've been
Oh,
going
the
through.
Judd book.
Yeah, the Judd book.
Oh,
There's a lot of
nice.
stuff in there, man. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of cool
You're
stuff.
getting
I
It's
will say
like,
I actually sold a Morgan half dollar once, and that's why I needed to buy that book because I didn't even know that coin existed, which it doesn't. It's only a pattern, and
yeah,
there's only like four of them in the world, but I
right.
needed that book to figure that out.
yeah. It's interesting to see the
Yeah.
coins that were originally patterns, but have just been kind of accepted into the general collector world. Like the Flying Eagle cent technically was a pattern at the beginning, but like that very first pattern year. But people who collect Flying Eagles, it's still just normally collect. I think it was the 50s, 55 or 50, I can't remember
Well,
what year they did
realistically,
that.
every coin that's ever been struck was a pattern first, right? They have to make it into a
So if
pattern, and
you're
usually,
if you're into patterns or whatever too, like I will tell you, there's a great website called US Patterns, who I believe it's uspatterns.com. Or yeah, if I'm not mistaken, you could check that out. But there's a complete blog by the person, which is maintained by a friend of mine, Saul Teichman, who he's the guy who actually wrote the book on patterns, the new red book on patterns. He was the main contributor, I believe, for that. And he maintains his own website, which has a lot of great information on almost virtually every Judd number there is. So it's a great resource if you're online to check that out if you're into patterns.
and I will say before I leave, while I was just sitting here, I did look up the 25th anniversary Sacagawea coin. They did only make 7,500 of those coins, and it is currently sold out. So I'm going to assume the numbers that I gave you earlier, that the coin is selling in a 70 condition at 3,200 bucks, is probably going to be just the beginning. Considering that there's only 7,500 of these that exist, you consider 75 to 80% grayed out. You might get around like 5,000 coins in a 70, even if they all got graded, which most people probably won't even grade them. So there's really not a lot of coins, maybe 100 per state, and that's if they all stayed in the United States of America. So I think that'll be a really cool coin to follow. We did bring this coin up in our last podcast, and at this point, if you followed our podcast and you bought the Army Privy coin, you could have easily doubled to quadrupled your money. And if you bought the Sacagawea coin we brought up, you would have made an extra $1,000. So I'll leave you with that, and I'll say keep an eye out for the Star Privy. And if you're not looking for a book or a podcast, stay on the US Mint website.
These are the spot prices as of right now, Thursday, August 7th at 4:37 p.m. The ask price for gold is $33.99 and 60 cents. Silver is $38.29. I don't know if we care about platinum and palladium, but we're at $13.46 for platinum, $11.81 for palladium, and for those rhodium weirdos out there, $72.75.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Up
Rhodium is
$100
interesting.
today.
Yeah, well, it was at like $40,000 a couple of years ago, so that's pretty interesting.
They
I
don't have any
think
live
gold
But
charts
at
for it.
3,500. I see it going to
I
3,500. I do.
so let's do a quick over under real quick while we wrap this up real quick. Charles, over under, do you think gold will be up by next week or down by next week?
Oh, by next week? That's hard to say. I don't know. Probably, but I do think we're going to 3,500. I don't know when it's
Do,
going to
don't
happen,
don't
but
think don't think too much into it, Charles. Next week, up or down? Quick response.
I'd say over. Yeah. So yeah.
Over. What about you, Isaac?
I think it's gonna be under, and then we're gonna hit 35 at A and A.
All right, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay
Wow. Okay.
neutral.
Okay.
I'm gonna say we'll be right around $3,400 by next week, but we'll see. We'll put the money
You
where
so
the
you
mouth
know you
is.
usually on Fridays there's profit taking, so I bet you tomorrow the market could be down a little bit, but then again, you never
Winner gets an ounce of gold. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I can't afford that. Okay, cool.
But
That's
it'll
gonna
be
close it
cool.
off. We lost Kurt halfway through there, so I apologize. I'll do a little disclaimer. Sorry, guys, if you're watching this. Sometimes Kurt goes in and out, and he's gone at the end of the episode. He'll be back next time.
know.
Other than that, everybody's links will be in the description below. If you did enjoy, I would appreciate it if you subscribe, leave a like, and comment questions you would like us to answer in the next episode. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Charles, Jeff, thanks for taking the hour, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.